Hello and welcome. This is Pede Master Vedant Goswami. Today we are going to see the basic end game technique of checkmating with a king and a queen against a lone king. And the process is very simple. The first thing we have to note that the checkmate will happen only when the opponent king is on the last line. So the process involves pushing the king to the last line with the technique similar to what we learned in the checkmate with the king and a rook, which is like making the box smaller and smaller and pushing the king to the corner and finally giving a checkmate. And like in the rook, we also will remember and be careful about not giving stalemate because that is a thing that happens a lot of times and we have to be aware of that it is a possibility and we have to avoid that. So let us start. White starts with queen c3, and I've highlighted the range of the queen, which will restrict the black king from going across. So black is restricted to the box, and we'll follow this technique of making the box smaller and smaller. So black goes king d5, and we improve the position of the king. So again, it is an exercise in which we learn the basic coordination between two pieces to achieve a aim, and in this case it is checkmating the black king. King comes to e4 and queen d3. Again, I'm only giving checks with the purpose of making the box smaller. Okay, king e5. When I cannot make the box smaller, I'll improve the position of the king. Black doesn't have many options, and I'll continue making the box smaller as we right now know that it is highlighted by the green lines. King goes to f5 and queen e4. Again, the same purpose. And if you see, slowly and slowly by each move, black king is restricted to an increasingly smaller number of squares. So king f6, king goes to f4, I improve the king, king goes to g7, queen f5. And now the king is almost in the corner and has no other option than to fall back to one of the last lines. So let us say king goes to h6. As soon as the king goes to the last line, put your queen on the second last line. So now the king is trapped in the corner. It cannot escape. It cannot run away. And now also we don't have no further need to make the box smaller because that can uh, end up in us giving a stalemate. I'll show you example of that. So king h7. And now I improve the position of the king and king h8 and king f6. Okay, so now the king has no other option and I can do a checkmate. This is a very simple example of checkmate with the queen. The only thing we have to avoid is a position after, let us say, king. Instead of king f6, I choose to make the box more. I play queen g6. So black king is here stalemated. So even though white is a queen up, the result of the game will be a draw. We don't want that. We want a checkmate, which will give white a win. So this is the only thing to avoid and very important because it is so simple to give a stalemate while playing with the king and queen against the king. So the important thing is to remember the possibility of that the stalemate is possible and we have to consciously avoid that. So we saw this very simple technique of pushing the king to the corner by making a box and continually improving the position of the king and the queen and finally delivering a checkmate. I hope you found it useful. It will require some practice and I hope whenever you have some difficulty, if you are doing it particularly for the first time, just go through the video again and I'm sure that will help you. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next lesson.